Welcome back to Florida Powerboat Club's YouTube channel. This is Stu Jones, and we're happy to have you with us now as we kick off Florida Powerboat Club's 2020 season here with our first episodes featuring the winter poker run from Miami down to Marathon, Florida. And if many of you can recall, we just did a marathon series of 13 episodes featuring our club's biggest event ever, the 2019 edition of the Key West Poker Run. And with that all wrapped up now, we're going to downshift about 4 gears and just slowly ease into our 2020 season with what appears to be our smallest event of the year. Almost every year we kick off in January with this winter poker run that averages about 20 to 25 teams. So with our 24 registered poker run teams on this event, we're right on our numbers as we get ready in North Miami for the event. So before we get started, let's thank our sponsors. Florida Powerboat Club's 2020 series sponsors include Deep Impact Custom Boats and their associated brand, Blackwater Boats, Nortec High Performance Boats, Midnight Express Powerboats, Myco Trailers, Performance Boat Center, Mystic Powerboats, Superior Communications, and Mercury Racing Wide Open. And it is the fourth weekend of January. What a great way to start the day as we look from our room here at the Bal Harbour Ritz-Carlton. And there it is, a very inviting Haulover Inlet that we are about to pass through. And I'm very happy to report we got some fabulous rates for the fall. Those of you attending Key West 2020, this is one of our kickoff hotels here for the Haulover start. And just 1 mile up Collins Avenue, of course, the landmark Haulover Marine Center, getting all of the boats ready. And what an amazing day. Look at the beautiful blue sky, and the sun is out shining, and it's all about the high performance hardware that is going to make this a wonderful day of offshore powerboating from Miami down to the Middle Keys. And you won't find a more spirited bunch of teams that are so revved up for this day. So let's listen in.
What's up, brother? What's up, girls?
And it's evidently a very nice array of boats here as we start off with the first poker card at Haulover, Rich and Linda Casso in their 37 Midnight Express. And it's been a while since we've seen this boat. The last event they attended was the Midnight Express Owners Rendezvous to Bimini back in April of 2019. And let's welcome our newest members to the club. This is Mike and Sarah Howe in their MTI 340X with Mercury Racing 450s. And we have an international roster again as Robert and Chrissy Lockyer from the UK joined us in their 32-foot skater. Craig and Paula Ackerman are on a roll with their 340X MTI. This time it's a family trip with the 2 kids coming along. Hal and Missy Johnson are going to represent Nortec High Performance Boats with their Nortec 390 center console. They're from Michigan, but they didn't have to travel far. They have a beautiful condo at the port in Fort Lauderdale. And representing our sponsor, Deep Impact Custom Boats, here's Mark and Eileen Fisher and their new 399 powered by Quad 450Rs. Well, you're going to see an entirely different show here compared to our last Key West series where we had 269 teams. Well, our 24 teams today is going to change up the format as we get a little video from the official pace boat, which is going to be, once again, Project 1080. I've got my wife, Jackie Jones, on board with me today, and she just did the Poker Cards dockside. But we're just going to ride along here for the next little segment as we pass through Miami on this beautiful day. But we have dispensed with the idea of having a helicopter with such a small group. But we are going to have a chopper on Saturday while we're down in Marathon, and we'll get a different perspective altogether because we're going to be shooting in those beautiful waters in the Florida Keys. Well, Amanda says it's time for my bikini as she gets that poker card. Now at Grove Harbor Marina, we did a little stop by called a touch and go. Nobody really stopped. We just got a poker card and kept rolling. And it looks like everybody's having a great time. Amanda is so happy to be in her bikini, and we're happy that she's in it too. And it is a celebration of sorts for Ray and Christine Grimaud on their 2016 Mystic 4200 center console. They bought this boat on this run 4 years earlier, and they've done this event every year since. Well, it's 2 in a row now for Michael Tandoy from New York and Reckless Endangerment. He did the Key West Poker Run with his buddies, but he's got his lovely crew member Tonya on board today. That's it. And she got her poker card and is happy to be here. Robert Lockyer and his wife Chrissy manage a very busy travel schedule from the UK to Boston and now to their new home in Pompano Beach, Florida. But somehow they managed to find the time to get on the club's first event for 2020, and we're so happy they could join us. Barry and Stephanie Hansen are from Kentucky, but they've also got a condo in Fort Lauderdale on the beach. Their last boat was a Nortec 43 Super Cat, but they've really stepped up their game with this big 50-foot skater. And you've got to love this custom paint job, created by none other than the art of design. And here's a great shot of that new Deep Impact 399. You can't see it, but they have LEDs in the rub rail. It won them the Best Lighting Award at the Key West Poker Run. This is the first 399 powered by Mercury Racing 450Rs. Nice to see Kevin and Melissa Welch back here on the Poker Run. They are cigarette lovers. Their last boat was a 35 cigarette, but look at this new 42X. It's powered by Mercury Racing 1100s. And join me in welcoming another new team to the club. This is Connor and Ali Toomey from Maryland in their 39-foot Outer Limits GTX team out of line. Look real close, you can see that faint Outer Limits logo in the graphics. And once again, let's welcome Mike Howe to the club. Mike and his wife Sarah are new members. They have a home down in the Florida Keys, and they have 2 of these MTIs. One's a 340X, the other is a 42 center console. This one's powered by Mercury Racing 450Rs. And it's always great to see Tom Gorzis from Pennsylvania here on these events. 42-foot cigarette Huntress OPA 2. Altogether, that's 5 cigarettes on the Winter Poker Run 24-boat roster. John Wittenberger Sr. has had an amazing track record for 2019, and he's getting 2020 kicked off with a bang in his 36-foot Sonic center console. And I'm not quite sure how this all came to be, but this is a club member, but they were not registered, and they just blasted right through our shot. I don't know. And one more time with Hal and Missy Johnson, their Nortec 390 center console. I was amazed when I looked back on the records. This is a 10-year-old boat already. They were one of the first to buy this new model, and they have been loving it. And here's one of our newer members, David Wilkes, in his 43-foot Scarab. He's joined by his buddy Scott Porte, who also just joined the club recently. I love this Scarab paint. It's a classic paint job from the late 90s that has stood the test of time. And let's welcome back Alex Tembelis from New York. He joined the club last year. This is one of few Black Thunders left in the club, a 43 model, and that has got a huge cabin down below. And let's welcome another new team to the club. This is Steve and Teresa Presley from Tennessee, 41-foot cigarette GTR, living in the moment. Steve is a real big cigarette fan. His other boat is a 39-foot Top Gun. Terrell and Clara Clark are from Texas, a long way from home. They just purchased this boat from another member. This is a 36-foot Sensation powered by Mercury Racing 540s. Richard and Linda Casso are not very far from home. They live right here in Miami. Love the color of this Midnight Express 37 full cabin edition. It was built in 2009 under the current ownership of the company, but they have since discontinued this model. And we're going to fast forward about 50 miles as we now arrive in Key Largo here on Jewfish Creek. And I wouldn't normally attempt this very often with one hand on the wheel and one on the iPhone. Just wanted to give you a feel of what it's like to ride through Jewfish Creek on the cigarette. But it's time now to come off plane and just travel slowly through this U.S. Highway 1 bridge. Gilbert's, of course, is going to be off to the right, and we're going to get a few clips of that. But we're not stopping at Gilbert's this time. We're going to change it up a little bit. One of the things we like to do when we have the smaller groups is go and try some other restaurants and a few other places that can only accommodate smaller groups. And that's what's cool about this winter poker run with just having 24 boats. It gives us a chance to kind of step outside the box and try a different lunch stopover. And if anybody ever asks, what exactly is that hotel in the background? That's the Anchorage Resort. We don't normally stay there. It's a much older building. But if you ever wanted to, you could call up and get a condo there and a dock, and you'd be overlooking Blackwater Sound. And I can assure you it's not 5-star, nor is it 4-star. It's probably not even 3-star. But on the other hand, now Gilbert's rooms have all been redone. They have about 30 to 35 rooms available, and a lot of people are starting to, come down and just stay overnight, because the rooms are so much nicer here at Gilbert's, and certainly provides a great vibe and a casual, rustic atmosphere that we all seem to love. And where we are headed today is actually Sundowners. It's about 3 miles here from Gilbert's, over on Blackwater Sound off to the port side. They don't have a lot of dockage there, but we were able to accommodate the group. And the next time that we return there, the marina next door says that they're going to welcome us to be able to tie up. So good news going forward that we have more locations that we can visit on these runs. And I noticed that Jackie and I here on the Project Tenady are wearing our jackets. And as we visit with some of these other teams, I see a lot of us are. Remember, it is late January, not the warmest time to be in Florida, as we say hi to Bill Day and his group on his 32-foot Glasstream center console. But everything is relative, because imagine that, anywhere else in the country, it's the last weekend of January, it's going to be sub-zero and plenty of snow on the ground. So this winter poker run is a great escape for so many teams that are just tired of the winter blues, and they just want to get on their boat and enjoy a weekend with the Florida Powerboat Club down here in the Keys. Well, I've got to say that it really just never gets old flying through these mangroves in the Florida Keys. But when you do see other boats, guys, I got to remind you to bring them down off plane to be respectful to our fellow boaters. Great shot of Rocco and Danielle here on this 50-foot skater. And we're near the end of our day trip today as we head down to Marathon. So we're going to sign off and catch up with our teams a little later as we gather for dinner and to play out the poker cards. Well, it certainly was a very festive and spirited vibe of everybody here as we kind of took over the Lighthouse Grill on Friday evening, both at the bar, in the restaurant, and back here in this private lounge where we set up the card tables to let all of our teams play out their poker hands. Of course, on these smaller poker run events, we don't give away brand new cars or motorcycles, but as many of our teams have always said, Stu, don't worry about us. We don't care about the prizes. We just want to be with our boating friends and have a good time. And you guys deliver that every time, so that's why we keep coming back.
What just happened there? What just happened there? Oh, look at this. The last team to play, everybody's having dinner. They pull a full house. Queens over 8 beats, 4s over 2, 2s over 4s, right? Okay. And then the other hand over here was a straight right there, and there's another straight there. So, oh God, that was hilarious.
And I'd like to congratulate our winners. Third place went to Rocco and Danielle Rocco in Team Time Conscious, a 52-foot skater. Second place went to Robert and Christy Lockyer from the UK in their 32-foot skater, Team Patriot Marine. And first place went to Craig and Paula Ackerman, with special mention of Hannah and Brian, who pulled that lucky card for the big win. Saturday morning here at the Faro Blanco Resort, where we have another beautiful day ahead of us, and I just wanted to give you guys a closer look at our event masthead. This is the same design that we use for the t-shirts and the banners. Notice that Faro Blanco lighthouse in the middle, which is a landmark here in the Florida Keys, which is why we decided to include it in the design. But the big hit of the design is, look at all the boats here are actually registered boats on the event, and we really go out of our way to try to make this happen for every poker run event. And I know that you guys appreciate it, because it certainly helps us disperse all of the banners after the poker run is concluded. So let's talk a little bit about the Faro Blanco Resort and our plans for the day. Of course, it's about 5 years now since this resort opened, and we were one of the first clubs to stage a boating event here when they reopened. So it's nice to return, and of course we're here quite often, especially with the Key West Poker Run. It's one of our lunch stops, and it's where we also have the tanker here, and we do a lot of the fueling. But it's a very pleasant atmosphere, and they do cater to all style of boats. As you can see off in the background, all of those motor yachts, and occasionally you'll get a big, huge mega yacht, maybe even some sailing boats coming in. That's the key, though, that it's such a popular marina that it does make it difficult to have a big event here. And I think that's why the Winter Poker Run in January, with just a 24-boat roster, was able to be accommodated. So thanks to Dockmaster Aaron, that's him on the right, and to his staff for making it happen this year. But I do want to remind everybody who likes to attend these poker runs that having a nice marina is only half of the equation. The other half, of course, is getting good hotel accommodations, and the lodging here is really excellent, and we have two choices. So right on property is a Hyatt Place. It was a brand new hotel when the property reopened about 5 years ago, and right next door is a Courtyard Marriott. It's a little bit bigger. They've expanded since they also opened just a few years back. And between the two properties, we can easily accommodate a very large group here. And let's talk about what's going on here dockside this morning. Well, obviously, you've been seeing a lot of teams getting fueled up and ready for the day. And I saw somebody cleaning their strainers out. Remember, we are in the Florida Keys, and depending on what way the winds are going, you're going to get those weed buildups like you can see here behind Ray's boat. And that's something that's really important to pay attention to, because these weeds can really mess up your day. They'll get caught in your strainers and plug up your entire cooling system, and you're easily going to fry some impellers or water pumps. So you want to be careful with that and keep an eye on it when you're in the Florida Keys. So let's talk about our plans today, because we do have a helicopter hired, and we've got Ryan who came down to join us. So we'll have a photo and video crew. I'm going to go up in the chopper myself. So I felt that this captain's meeting was very important, because I wasn't going to be out in the Project 1080 leading the group around. But I did have a strategy, and I wanted to go over it with all the captains, because one of our top priorities today, as well as keeping things safe, was to capture the best photo and video possible. So I had this highly professional diagram drawn up overnight and gave each captain a copy and went over the logistics of the run. But basically, it's pretty straightforward. If you follow that arrow on the top, it's taking the boats through the bay side, alongside the 7 Mile Bridge, and you're going to stay on the inside, circle around Bahia Honda, and come back down through the Bahia Honda Bridge. Then we're out in the coastal waters. We're going to head back to the north, and eventually we're going to stage one more time right near the 7 Mile Bridge, and then pass through the 7 Mile Bridge back to the inside waters and head up to our lunch stop, which is going to be the Island Fish Company. But the little twist I added to this whole sequence today was we're doing it by groups, determined by what type of boat you had. So we had great attendance here dockside, and everybody was pretty serious about it. I know that they appreciate how much we plan these things, and all I can tell you guys is that if it goes even 80% or 70% of what we plan, the end result is then fantastic, because it means better photos for all of you guys, great content for our magazine and for our website. And of course, on the video side, well, you know how much we love our YouTube channel, and we just want to make you guys look like stars when you're on TV. So here we are now at the Marathon Airport, getting ready to board this Robinson R44 helicopter, our standard platform for most of our photo and video shoots. Both left doors off today, and I see an added feature on this helicopter. It's got those automatic floats on the skids. That's a nice little option to have, but of course we're still going to wear our life jackets while we're flying over the water. Well, you don't have to be a weather expert to see that today's conditions are just fantastic. The light winds are going to make for a smooth photo flight, because these helicopters are super light and can easily get tossed around when we get into these 25 or 30 mile an hour winds. And the other thing I like about today's weather is just the right amount of cloud cover. When you have zero clouds and you've got the bright brilliance of the sun, it can be a little bit overpowering with the colors of the boats, and especially the ones with the white decks and the white gel coat. And even with the very best cameras, the bright sun can mess up the exposure and ruin the shot. So I see our fleet there down on the bay waters waiting for us to get going, and they've done exactly as we've requested. They just came out and milled around, and we are going to get started here shortly. But I always like doing this high-level circular shot so we can look down and get an idea of where we are and get a nice scenic shot of the entire key. A couple of features in this shot. Off to the left, you see that private island. If anybody wants to own that, it's currently listed for about $15 million. Down below, you'll see the Hyatt on the left, some private condominiums with the red roofs, and on the right, that long building, well, that's the Courtyard Marriott. So let's drop down now and get a closer look at the club members and get this Saturday morning winter poker run photo rally off to a start. Our first group is going to be center consoles, and I believe that leadoff boat is the Deep Impact 399 with Mark and Eileen Fisher on board. I did want to get everybody kind of grouped up a little more and take advantage of these open waters and not a lot of other boat traffic around today, so it really was an ideal setting to get some of these nice group shots. So let's just enjoy this beautiful day and the nice scenic formation as the boats get together. So let's just let this video roll for a little bit. And as we get closer, we'll introduce the stars of the show, our Florida Powerboat Club members. Well, I love this shot as we can see a lot of different boats in frame as we're going to start from the back of the pack and introduce our teams, starting off with Mark and Susan Monroe here in this Wright Performance 36 Cat, powered by Mercury Racing 400Rs. This boat was delivered to them by Performance Boat Center at the Miami Boat Show just 2 years earlier. So they're almost closing in on their second year of ownership, and Mark keeps telling me just how much he enjoys this boat. The Monroes are joined today by Bob Perrette and Amy Lincoln from Massachusetts, who have done a number of poker runs with other members in the last couple of years. And it's Michael and Sarah Howe again in this MTI 340X, powered by Mercury Racing 450Rs. The funny part about it is their home is actually in Big Pine, just about 20 miles south of here. And if you look closely on this shot, you'll see these are all high-performance V-bottoms, and that was by design. This is one of the groups that we broke everybody off into. So let's close in now on this 43 Scarab. This is David Wilkes from South Carolina. He's in the marine business, and this is his Scarab 43 AVS. It's a triple-engine boat, and he's also joined by his buddy Scott Porte, who just joined the club recently. This Scarab has triple 500 EFIs, and it has one thing in common with the Project 1080 cigarette. Both of these hulls are 2000 model year, making them both 20-year-old V-bottoms. And you guys are about to witness what I consider to be the group money shot of the weekend. Looking off in the distance, that is the 7 Mile Bridge. But as we turn now and cross the pack, you'll see that the Cats have caught up to the V-bottoms, and the V-bottoms have caught up to the center consoles. And I think it's just an amazing shot, especially in these beautiful bay waters. This is something that is extremely hard to do with a really big group. But with the size group that we had here for the winter poker run, it was something that we could organize and coordinate, and I think it turned out great. But we are just getting started. Wait till we get down closer to the Bahia Honda Bridge. That's when the real magic begins. Well, by now, most of you are saying, well, God, this is a much different perspective than we normally see from the Florida Powerboat Club. And that's by design, guys. We want it to be wide and get a lot of boats in the same frame all running together and still have that landmark 7 Mile Bridge off in the distance. And there are only 2 outer limits on the event. In the bottom of your screen, that's Larry Hill from Florida in his 44 outer limits GTX, Bad Larry. And this other outer limits, that's Connor and Allie Toomey from Maryland in their 39 outer limits GTX, Team Out of Line. Their very first event with Florida Powerboat Club, and Connor later told me that they had a blast. And illustrating this new trend towards performance center consoles, a total of 6 of them are registered here for this event as we now close in on Mark and Eileen Fisher in that Deep Impact 399. It made its debut at the Key West Poker Run just a couple of months earlier. It's the first 399 to be rigged with the all-new Mercury Racing 450Rs. And I would like to thank Deep Impact and their sister company Blackwater for renewing as a Florida Powerboat Club 2020 series sponsor. Let's say hi once again to Ray and Christine Grimaud, who are loving their Mystic 42 triple Mercury 350 Verados. They love this boat so much, they've had it for 4 years and they are ready for a new one. So call the FPC office if you want to get in contact with Ray and make him an offer. And we're now joining Donnie Snyder from Connecticut, 2 for 2. He did the Key West Poker Run back in November. In fact, that is where he debuted his brand new Concept 4400, this one powered by Mercury Racing 450Rs. We've known Donnie to be an outer limits owner for quite some time. He had a 46 Limited, but then he got a fountain center console and tried it out, and I guess he liked it, and that seems to have brought him to this point where he now is the proud owner of this beautiful Concept 44. Team Blueprint has a full air-conditioned cabin forward and plenty of room for all your friends. Well, we're back for some more cat play, and I know how much you guys love the roar of these big supercharged V8s, so let's listen in to Barry and Stephanie Henson in their big 50-foot skater. Now let's zoom in on Michael Tandoy and his lady Tonya in this 35 Motion Team Reckless Endangerment. His 525 EFIs have CMI headers and straight pipes, so let's listen in. As you can see from this shot, these conditions are just fantastic for this photo flight today. And looking in the distance, that's Ohio Key, so that means we are rounding the corner and are soon going to be passing through that Bahia Honda Bridge. But let's just close in here for a second with Craig and Paula Ackerman, who won that poker run game last night with that full house. And that appears to be their theme for the weekend because they've got the family on board. And another big center console from the cigarette lineup. This is the Huntress, 42 feet long, a 12-foot beam, quad Mercury Racing 350s, and you've got Captain Tom Gorzis at the helm, his first mate Jennifer, avid boaters who have been enjoying the club now for the last couple of years. And this is OPA 2. Now, OPA 1 was also a cigarette Huntress. In fact, we joined Tom and Jennifer for the ride over to the Bahamas this last summer. Well, you could see that Tom was just slowing down there for a second. That's because we hit the reset button and we got everybody to mill together, and now we're giving the center consoles another restart, as the center consoles will now lead us through this set of bridges located at Bahia Honda, which puts us at about mile marker 37 on US 1. But it's not the US 1 bridge that we're interested in here. It's that old-fashioned, deserted railway bridge that was part of the original railroad that Henry Flagler built back in the 20s. And that's Bahia Honda State Park just off in the background, which gives visitors access to actually get up and walk the span of this bridge. But there's no better vantage point than being up in this helicopter, as you can see the color of the water change as the boats make their way through the bridge and offshore into the coastal waters. So that is just a tip of the iceberg, guys, because when we come back in our next show, we're going to have all of these great money shots as our Florida Powerboat Club members enjoy a winter escape to the Florida Keys, which by definition is truly powerboating in paradise. So thank you to our Florida Powerboat Club members, the stars of the show, and of course to all of our club sponsors for supporting our events. And out there to you, all of you viewers catching us here on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell so you get all of the updates every time a new episode is released. Our next show will be episode number 2 with continuing coverage of the Winter Poker Run 2020 to Marathon in the Middle Keys. If you're interested in joining the Florida Powerboat Club, we have a wide variety of programs, and you can see them all at our club website, which is flpowerboat.com, where you can also get updates about upcoming events. In social media, you can catch us on Facebook, the Florida Powerboat Club, or follow us on Twitter and these Instagram pages. From the FPC studios in Pompano Beach, this is Stu Jones, president of the Florida Powerboat Club, along with our producer Ryan McCoy. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you watching. If you do get a chance to get out boating, remember to be safe, wear those life jackets, and always respect your fellow boater. Bye for now, and we hope to see you on the next adventure with members of the Florida Powerboat Club. Florida Powerboat Club's 2020 series sponsors include Deep Impact Custom Boats and their associated brand, Blackwater Boats, Nortec High Performance Boats, Midnight Express Powerboats, Myco Trailers, Performance Boat Center, Mystic Powerboats, Superior Communications, and Mercury Racing Wide Open.